You guys, I had a Twitter conversation with the Brent Spiner clone, and he has just gone too far. I have lots of followers in the millions. Lori McBride manipulates the numbers underneath my video. Usually I get millions of views, and I have a lot of supporters. Here's what I need you all to do. I feel that if I can get enough of my followers to report this to Twitter, there's a chance the real Brent Spiner will get his Twitter back. I have written a statement. I want you all to just copy and paste this and just fill in the number of years you've known about this. You can go ahead and use my words because I'm a good writer. And here's what the statement is. As someone who has followed Brent Spiner, Lori McBride, and Gail Chord Schuler for blank years, how many years? Yeah, please only do this if you've been following us for years. If you've only been doing it for months, then you don't have anything to say, okay? You're not going to be that valid. I mean, you can go ahead and, if you want to, you can say months, but I think I'd get more legal pull, if those followers who've been following Brent, Lori, and me for years do this. As someone who's followed Brent Spiner, Lori McBride, and Gail Chord Schuler for blank years, 8 years or whatever, I have noticed a definite change in the personality of the Brent Spiner who posts at the official Brent Spiner Twitter page. This change in personality happened every now and then for several years, but became consistent around 2015. I do not believe the real Brent Spiner has posted anything at his Twitter since around 2015. Before the impersonator took over the real Brent's Twitter, the real Brent often posted humorously, and his jokes were genuinely funny and indicated that the joker had depth, maturity, and intelligence. The real Brent Spiner did not use his Twitter as a political platform for any party or ideology like the imposter does, but maintained his Twitter as a means to connect with his fans and to comment with lightness, depth, and humor on current events. The real Brent rarely brought up his private life or discussed Lori McBride or Jackson Spiner, his alleged son, with Lori McBride online. It's obvious the imposter is obsessed with maintaining his image because he knows he's not the real Brent Spiner. So he has been mentioning and been photographed with Jackson Spiner, the son used to trap the real Brent into marriage, a lot to maintain his facade, something the real Brent rarely did. The real Brent hated talking about Jackson because he knew he did not have sex with Lori to have this son, and he knew that Jackson's existence made it almost impossible for him to be with the woman he truly loves, Gail. And he never posted photos of himself with Jackson online for this reason. The imposter has been threatening Gail Chord Schuler's freedom of speech by telling her to stop posting tweets that tell the truth that he is a fraud, and that his partner Lori McBride is also a fraud and a criminal. He has rounded up a conspiracy of criminals who pose as his fans and who strive to intimidate Gail at her Twitter from telling the truth about him and Lori McBride. For this reason, Gail has muted the conversations around these issues at Twitter and only responds enough to maintain her innocence against defamatory comments from the Brent Spiner clone and his supporters, because it is a waste of time to debate with criminals. We, as free citizens of the world, are concerned that Gail's freedom of speech is threatened and that Gail has been defamed publicly by this criminal who poses as Brent Spiner and who has publicly disowned Gail, something the real Brent would never do. Gail is a rare source of truth in this world, and we do not want the Brent Spiner clone to succeed in denying her freedom of speech and the press. It is also very wrong that the real Brent Spiner is unable to access his own Twitter since at least 2015, and that you have allowed his impersonator to hijack the real Brent's Twitter for so long. This raises the question on whether Twitter is as criminal as the Brent Spiner clone himself. because Twitter encourages impersonators to take over the accounts of celebrities. We demand that the real Brent Spiner get his Twitter back. We believe that the real Brent Spiner has had a relationship with Gail Chord Schuler since 1990. Unfortunately, Lori McBride has been part of a conspiracy that has striven to take Gail away from Brent. The reasons for this are too complicated to explain here. Lori has not succeeded, but has gone to unreal lengths to maintain her facade, even artificially impregnating herself with stolen semen from the real Brent Spiner to create a baby, Jackson Spiner, used to trap Brent into marriage with her. We only bring this up to help you know who is the real Brent Spiner. The real Brent will be the Brent who admits that he has been in love with Gail Chord Schuler since 1990. All other Brent Spiners are imposters. The Brent Spiner Gail Chord Schuler love story is complicated, and we only bring this up so that you can readily identify who is the real Brent and who is the imposter. We have heard We have heard that the real Brent Spiner tried to get his Twitter back in court recently, and this imposter won the court case by rigging the jury with his supporters and by fabricating evidence, using doctored photos of him with Lori McBride together for events that they never attended together. We are aware that this imposter looks exactly like the real Brent Spiner, except he has a bigger nose, which is why he has removed Brent's photo from Twitter. Though it has not been reported in mainstream news, we believe in the existence of clones and that a Brent Spiner clone is impersonating the real Brent at Brent Spiner's Twitter. Clones always have bigger noses than the authentic person. In a nutshell, Lori McBride has had a shotgun marriage with Brent Spiner, where she has used death threats on Gail to maintain her relationship, as you can tell by viewing the videos Lori has posted in the past that are part of this webpage. We sincerely believe that if Lori had not intimidated the real Brent Spiner to have her as his public partner, that Brent would have married Gail Chord Schuler by now. We are very concerned that Twitter is enabling this rapist and criminal, Lori McBride, by allowing her partner in crime, the Brent Spiner clone, to impersonate the real Brent Spiner and to threaten Gail's freedom of speech and to defame Gail and the real Brent while he impersonates the real Brent at Brent's Twitter. This impersonator is trying to destroy Gail Chord Schuler and the real Brent Spiner by his actions. The real Brent Spiner has suffered loss of income and almost gone bankrupt because of this serious identity theft problem with his clone, and has suffered threats against his life and the life of the woman, Gail, he loves at the hand of Lori McBride. And the Brent Spiner clone enables this by his comments and actions at Twitter. We are gravely concerned that Twitter is enabling impersonators and criminals at Twitter. The world falsely believes that the clone is the real Brent Spiner because he parades as such while he maintains the Twitter site that has the official logo of Brent Spiner. It is disgraceful that Twitter enables such extreme cases of impersonation and identity theft and does not promote truth in its actions with the public. Indeed, the term fake news seems to exemplify Twitter's behavior. Though Gail may have helped us verbalize how we feel by writing this statement for us, this statement reflects how we really feel about this serious impersonation and identity theft that has happened at Twitter, not just for a couple months, but for years. This is a serious concern and makes us doubt the integrity of Twitter as a company and doubt its commitment to freedom of speech, the press, and truthfulness and honesty in its actions. So now the world goes to the official Twitter site for Brent Spiner, taken over by a criminal motivated by greed to impersonate Brent Spiner, and who has Brent Spiner's official Twitter as his weapon to enable his impersonation and identity theft. We are very concerned that such a major social media outlet enables impersonation and identity theft, believing the flimsy and fabricated evidence of the clone, and denying the real Brent Spiner the legal right to manage his own image, identity, finances, and social media platform with such a major player as Twitter. Please correct this injustice and give the real Brent Spiner his Twitter back. You state that impersonation is a violation of your policies. Please prove that this is not just talk with you. The clone may have the same legal name as Brent Spiner, but he is not the Brent Spiner celebrity who starred as Data in Star Trek: The Next Generation. You must take action to remove this imposter from Brent Spiner's Twitter. This is a serious injustice, and it has gone on for years, not just months. We, as the conscientious public, are watching you, and will see how you respond to us. If you continue to enable impersonators and criminals at Twitter, we must expose you as a partner in their crimes. The Brent Spiner imposter has had the gall to encourage his fans, who are his conspirators, to report Gail for harassment just because she has been exercising her freedom of speech to expose him as a fraud. This has gone too far. It is time for this injustice to stop. The impersonator must go. Okay, folks, that is the statement. I'm going to have a link underneath this page where you can click on that link and you can just copy and paste that statement. And the account that you're reporting is Brent Spiner at Brent Spiner. I've got the information on the link, the web page I've created. The legal name of the person impersonated is Brent Spiner. And I've given you the link. It's the link to report it is support.twitter.com/forms/impersonation. So, and I made the paragraph red, and the red paragraph, there's a section on that page, and I'll show it to you. Report an account for impersonation. See this right here? Okay, right here. It says, anything else you'd like to tell us? Right there, you see that? Right there. That's where you're going to put my statement. It'll fit right in here, okay? So just fill out this form. You're going to be saying someone I represent is being impersonated, okay? Or someone else, a friend of mine or someone I am a fan of is being impersonated. You can do it that way too. Whatever applies, okay? There's the page, okay? So this has just gone too far. This clone now has the gall that when I post something at Twitter, he manages, and if I connect it and it ends up going on his site, he responds and he threatens, he tries to intimidate me, but he does it indirectly. He plays like he's super polite and like he's tolerating a crazy woman, and then he's got fans that are commenting underneath him to create. They're all part of a conspiracy. They're his enablers. They're all working together, and this has just got to stop. Brent Spiner would never tolerate this at his Twitter. Anyways, Bill O'Reilly, I know you're listening to me. Donald Trump, I know you're listening to me. I want all of you. I've got a lot of famous people. In fact, I got followers in the millions. I want you all to report this. That clone had the gall to say he was encouraging his fans to report me for harassment, for exposing him. We're going to report him for impersonation. So those of you who've been following me for years, fill out that form, report this impersonator to Twitter, and let's hope and pray that the real Brent Spiner gets his Twitter back.